Hey, what's up everyone? Joker here. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Today we are going to be talking about the GTX 1070 Ti and everything that we know about this upcoming graphics card from Nvidia at this point in time, which we are expecting to release sometimes towards the end of October, beginning of November. We'll get into all of that regarding what we know right now as far as the specs, price, release date, and all of that are concerned. But first I wanted to talk about just why we are seeing the 1070 Ti. Why is Nvidia really going out and releasing this graphics card? I think that there's no doubt it has a lot to do with AMD and Vega 56. RX Vega came out and pretty much was a big disappointment. The only shining light really is that Vega 56 on paper does beat the GTX 1070 quite handily, and given the price point that AMD gave at $399, it would have been the much better buy, but the likelihood of you actually finding that graphics card for $399 is pretty slim. They actually have a couple of different variants in stock right now over on Amazon, even using Amazon Prime. I'll link to them down in the description below. But they're selling for $520, and at that price, it's really not a very good buy because you can find GTX 1080s for not that much more than $500, which is, across the board, a better card than RX Vega 56. And then, of course, with Vega 64, that card pretty much has no purpose in the marketplace right now with how high its prices are, let alone when you compare it to the Nvidia counterparts, which are faster, more affordable, run cooler, and are more power efficient than both Vega GPUs. So I would call the whole entire Vega launch pretty much a flop, and there's not really much reason to go out and consider getting one of those cards unless maybe you can get the Vega 56 for $400, although good luck doing that. So Nvidia doesn't have a whole lot of incentive right now to release their upcoming GPU architecture, Volta, which would probably, destroy Vega, as they really have cards out there right now that are already destroying Vega with GTX 1080 and 1080 Ti. AMD just doesn't have anything to compete with those cards right now. So they have pretty much zero incentive to release Volta unless they just want to put the final nail in the coffin on Radeon. I mean, they had an incredible launch AMD this year with Ryzen, but the Radeon team with Vega was just pretty much an absolute failure, and there wasn't really a whole lot of great communication from AMD as far as the pricing situation, and there was a lot of controversy with that, post-launch, where they didn't really give answers in a timely manner that led to a lot of people choosing to just go out and buy Nvidia cards instead. But like I said in there, the only card that really does kind of, shine out is Vega 56, which beats the GTX 1070. So that is really why we are going to be seeing a 1070 Ti. They're trying to put something out there that is going to beat that as well, because they are falling behind in the benchmarks, and most people are benchmarking it based off of the MSRP, although in reality that MSRP just simply doesn't exist on the AMD side of things. But Nvidia wants to get out there with an MSRP card that is going to beat Vega 56, and that is what the 1070 Ti is going to seek to be doing, sandwiched right between the GTX 1070 and the 1080, although it looks like it's going to be a lot closer to the GTX 1080 in terms of performance. So when will the GTX 1070 Ti be released? While Nvidia has not officially announced anything yet, we are expecting it to be unveiled on October 26th, which will likely be paired with the reviews going live on the internet. So if you're waiting to see official benchmarks on the 1070 Ti, you should keep an eye out on your sub feed coming on the 26th at the end of this month. I personally will not have a review going live, at least that I know of right now. I have not been in contact with Nvidia. I've not agreed to any NDAs, so that's why I'm freely talking about it to you guys here right now, and I doubt I'll have one of those cards to test unless one of the couple of add-in board partner cards companies that I work with, like Galax or EVGA, decide to send me one. I probably won't have a 1070 Ti to test here on the channel. And as far as the official release is concerned of the card, when you might be able to actually buy it, right now rumors are saying November 2nd is what they're targeting to actually see it online with e-tailers out there and retailers like Micro Center and Best Buy. So you got about 2 weeks or so until you could actually maybe get your hands on the 1070 Ti, depending on availability, of course. So what about the price, though? What are you going to be paying for the 1070 Ti? Well, we can really expect it to sit somewhere between the GTX 1070 and the 1080, just like the performance. So we're expecting to see it right now around $420 to $450. That seems like a reasonable MSRP. I've seen some places online saying $429 would be the MSRP, which sounds pretty good. That sounds like, right where it really should be, unless we see a big price drop on the GTX 1070, although I don't see that happening because, Nvidia just doesn't really have a reason to do that right now because AMD can't compete with them in terms of price because everyone is buying up the AMD cards for mining. So, yeah, $429 for 1070 Ti. Would you pick one up at that price if you already haven't bought a 10 series graphics card? Being as close as we're expecting it to be to the GTX 1080, that would seem like a pretty decent buy if you can get it at that price, depending on, add-in board partner cards afterwards and how much they're charging for those. But if you can get one at $429, then I think it'll be a very, very strong GPU in the marketplace, considering the CUDA core count is so close to the GTX 1080. The 1070, for you that aren't familiar, has 1,920 CUDA cores, while the GTX 1080 has 2,560 CUDA cores. Now, with the 1070 Ti, they're basically only removing one block of CUDA cores on there, which is 128 CUDA cores, which would bring it down to 2,432 CUDA cores. Are you able to keep up with all those numbers? Are you able to keep track with all of that there? I hope you were paying attention. But basically what it boils down to is it's 2,432 CUDA cores, which is only 128 less than the GTX 1080, and it's using the same GPU, GP104, as the 1080. So it's probably going to get very close to that in terms of performance. It's also going to have fewer TMUs. It's going to have 8 gigabytes of DDR5 memory compared to DDR5X of the GTX 1080. That's at least what rumors are saying right now. So it's probably going to compete really well and get really close to the GTX 1080, especially if you go out and overclock it. Now, that has been another rumor that has been going around recently, is that you would not be able to overclock the GTX 1070 Ti, which I think seems very unlikely. This is, in my opinion, completely unfounded. It was just a rumor from eTechnics, who said that they reached out and their insider sources said you wouldn't be able to overclock the 1070 Ti. But there's already been a beta version of MSI Afterburner, version 4.4.0, beta 19, which already added in voltage control for the 1070 Ti. So that would tell us that we're going to have overclocking support on this graphics card, and these early rumors about it not being overclockable, I would say, are 100% unfounded and very likely not true, as I think that would be a PR disaster if Nvidia decided to block overclocking on these cards. What seems more likely is that they may be limiting the first batch of cards from the add-in board partners to not put out any factory overclocked cards and basically having to match the clock speeds of the reference model 1070 Ti. So that seems like a much more likely scenario than Nvidia completely blocking overclocking support on the 1070 Ti. And with the performance on the 1070 Ti, like I said, it's going to be between 1070 and 1080, probably beating out Vega 56. There has been an initial benchmark that was already posted on the Ashes of Singularity database, which is directly uploaded after you run the benchmark, which showed it getting a score of 6,200 on the 1440p extreme preset of the benchmark. So I wanted to go and run my own benchmark with my RX Vega 56 to see how far behind it would be, and I got a score of 4,600 on that same preset, same settings, and all of that. However, it is worth noting that I was using a quad-core i7 7700K. The GPU was not overclocked, and we don't know the official clock speeds of what they were using on the CPU or the GPU, which is an issue with the Ashes Singularity. Benchmark is the data. They don't really tell you what the clock speeds were, just the stock clocks of those cards and the CPU. And also, they were using an i9 7900X, which is a 20-thread CPU, and with how CPU-reliant Ashes of the Singularity benchmark is, I would say that that is certainly affecting the end score of this, so I wouldn't look too far into that comparison that I'm making here with Vega 56 and the GTX 1070 Ti. It's just something that I wanted to do for my own personal curiosity, and I wanted to share that with you here. So I don't have a 7900X, otherwise I'd be happy to go out and run Vega 56 on that, but I ain't got the bank for a 7900X, and Intel ain't sending me shit anytime soon. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on what we know so far on the 1070 Ti down in the comments below. I look forward to our discussion as always, especially if you are planning on picking up a 1070 Ti. If you don't have anything yet in the 10 series, then it could be a very compelling buy at the MSRP that we're expecting around $430. So let me know your thoughts as always down in the comments. I look forward to that. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Leave a like on it down below and subscribe if you're not already. If you have been here for a while, then you can always consider hitting the notification bell so you never miss a moment of content just like the video you saw right here. So I will catch you guys next time.